Chris Rock gon' be the reason we gon' blow. Boom.
Welcome back to the Wireheadz Podcast. It's your boy Trezale.
And your boy SPG.
SPG, how are you? It's good to be back.
Always. You know, we got something special on the cars today.
Oh man, today is a special one. Joining us is someone that we've wanted to talk to for such a long time. This cat is one of the most lyrical MCs in Barbados and an artist. Wears his heart on his sleeve. I would like to introduce to the Wireheadz Podcast for the very first time, none other than Nate Wiles. Nate, welcome to the podcast.
What it do, sir? My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Man, Nate, we got you here, so you know we're gonna grill you on some questions, man.
Please do.
But how are you? Firstly, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you being here. What's been up with you? I mean, I've been seeing you've been dribbling teasing us with some projects, some releases here and there. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm putting an album together.
Okay.
I've been in a dungeon for a really long time.
Yeah.
Working on this project, iteration after iteration. You know, white belt mentality, just learning as I go. You know what I mean? And like, I'm one of them types of people where I made an album, and then I'm like, all right, I got an album, and then I'm like, yo, I hit a new level, right? And then I'm like, wait, that was trash. I got to do it again. And that just kept happening over and over and over again. So, like, I'm finally at the point now where the music is where I want it to be. Where it feels the way I want it to feel and, like, sounds the way I want it to sound, to where I can say, okay, I'm actually going to put this project out. If I don't put this project out, then, you know, blow my head off. But, you know, please don't actually do that.
Don't actually do that.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have, like, a tentative? So, what you thinking? Mid-year, end of year? We had the top of 2023.
I would like to get it done for the summer, but I don't like to give like
I feel you.
Definites, because you know my history with that type of shit. I don't want to tell niggas, okay, it's gonna be out by this time, and then next thing you know, but I'm aiming for hopefully summer or around that time.
Well, that's good. That's a good time to be letting that music out. It's interesting how you put that. You know, it sounds as if there was a period of a lot of growth going on while the music was being made.
Yeah, a lot of personal trials and tribulations, and then growths and, you know, growing wings, and then those wings burn off, and then you grow some new wings and such. It's been a wild ride. It's been simultaneously a lot going on and not a lot going on at the same time, because I keep to myself. I'm very introverted, so you know, I spend a lot of time growing in my head and, you know, figuring things out, trying to piece together puzzles and stuff.
I'm glad you said that, because my next question was gonna be that we've heard your music, so we've heard Love versus Pride. We've heard like a few, obviously you've heard mMoney with Teff and stuff like that. We've heard some stuff from you, like bars, like bars, right?
Bars.
Yeah,
I've even, I mean, I'll reveal that I've even had some questions about whether you were one of those cats from RLG, from like, what was that, like,
back in the day?
Surprise! Sorry. Did I let something out the bag?
But I guess that's coming on to my next question. You know, you're kind of steeped in like this mystery, like, you know, like no, seriously. So like I want to know, for the people who don't know you and know your work, where are your roots? Like, who is Nate Wiles? Are you Barbadian? Because you obviously have an American accent. You know, kind of talk to us. What's been your road to where you're at right now?
Okay, well, like I was telling you guys earlier, I don't really know the definite answer to that question. Like, I was born in New York. I moved here when I was 5. I grew up here for 20-something years. I still have my accent. So the way I put it is, like, when I'm in Barbados, I feel sometimes like almost super American, way too American. When I'm in America, I don't feel quite American enough. You know what I mean? So I don't really, I'm a third culture kid, as you would say. Like, I fall between, and I think that is that's something that really influenced my perspective and the way that I view the world as well. You know what I mean? It's like, if you look into third culture kids and stuff, that seems to be a running theme. So yeah. Sorry, you asking about my background?
Yeah, like, okay, so
music, or?
Third culture kid, born in the U.S., lived in Barbados, but have a definitive love for hip hop music.
Yeah. I would say, like, music in general, as cliche as that is, but hip hop is, like, I would say the primary language. Like, I would say my first favorite hip hop record was, I don't know if you guys know Worldwide Mob Figures.
Worldwide Mind
We got
Figures.
Mob Figures.
Mob Figures.
We got homies on the front line living it up. We got ladies in the back straight giving it up. Ain't nothing but a thug thing. Worldwide Mob Figures. Let me see a nigga nuts say that Tupac and the Outlaws, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know like where that song would have come from in my life. I just know that my brother had it on a CD or something. I don't know where he got that shit from. But that was my first favorite rap record when I was like 6 years old in Infants A or something like that. You know what I mean? Walking around singing that shit. So that's where it started. And let's see, where to go from there.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask like how you're like what was the path?
Because
Like,
your pen is ridiculous.
So because I mean, so that was the first song. Yeah, and as you were going up through school, you know,
First favorite one.
First favorite.
first favorite one. Fair enough. And when did you decide that you? Because I'm gonna ask. So I would assume that you love the genre.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, like you know, you're a fan.
But that's the thing. But I'm also super out of the loop as well. Like you'd probably be surprised that I don't listen to a lot of hip hop these days. But I listen to the juggernauts. You know what I mean? If Drake drop, if Kanye drop, if Hove drop, if Nas drop King's Disease the other day, I'm gonna tap in Kendrick and Cole. But then there's like some obscure ones as well. Like I guess we'll get into that a little bit later on. Not to cross you.
So when did you first decide that you were gonna start expressing yourself through hip hop? Like what was it like? Did you just want to rap, or did you like how did that work? What was the first inspiration to do it?
Funny enough, right? I wanted to be a producer before I even knew that I could rap.
What?
So when I started rapping, I was 15 and I was just bored one day. And I was like, my brother used to rap. A lot of people might not know that. My brother, he used to go by Wrecking Ball Beezy. Like, if you know, you know. I was at Poetry Line a couple months ago. Rhyme Minister, I was having a conversation with Rhyme Minister, and I was like, I mentioned that he was my brother. His eyes lit up. He was like, dude, Wrecking Ball Beezy, like, for real? That's your bloodline? I'm like, yeah. But, like, he was the type of dude who, and it's going to sound kind of crazy, right? Because it's a very if you know type of situation. My brother was the type of MC where, like, he could go bar for bar with Royce the 5'9", and niggas like that, and you might say he had the better verse. You know what I'm saying? So like, he used to be rapping all the time from the time he was like 12, I think so. And then he's about 7 years older than me. So when I was 15, he was probably like 21, 22 or something like that. If my math is correct. And then one day I was just bored, and I was like, yo, let me get on this song with you. And he was like, all right, bet. And I wrote this verse. It took me all day. And it took me all day. And we did this song together. I believe it was called Panoramic Premonitions.
Whoa.
And we put it on Facebook. Because I was back then, like, we come up in the high five era, the Facebook era.
Yeah.
I remember high five.
Panoramic Premonitions. Oh, that sounds heavy, huh?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was I was trying to be deep on my verse and shit like that.
He's trying to be deep.
But so we put that out and people fucked with it, like friends at school and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, let me try that again. And then next thing you know, I can't remember if this was the second record I did, but this is where the RLG thing started, right?
Right.
The homie Chuck. He heard
Chuck,
one of,
what was his full name?
Full name?
Chuck Larry.
Chuck Larry.
Yeah,
Chuck Larry.
Shout out to Chuck Larry. Chuck Henny now. Shout out to Chuck Henny. I ran into him a few months ago. That was dope as fuck. We haven't really like spoken in a long time.
Here?
Yeah,
He's still here.
As far as I know.
Is he still making music though?
I don't think so.
Not as much. No,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Would love for him to do that again though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah. So he heard one of my earlier verses and literally just drafted me into ROG. He was like, "You're gonna be spitting for ROG from now on." I was like, "Okay."
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't have a choice. So said, so done. And then that led into the ROG Cypher and things of that nature. And then, kind of just stepped up the ladder from there.
Yeah. That was an awesome time.
That was a good time.
Remember. How long ago was it that you guys would have dropped in this moment? And
at this moment, that was
sorry.
Damn. That might have been somewhere between 2012 and 2014.
2012, 2014.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Because I think Centerfold happened in 2012. Right. So at this moment, probably would have been later that year, or 2013 or something.
And
like
I
that.
think that you guys were like doing like appearances at parties and on concerts and stuff. Like
big deal. Yeah. It was a fun time. Like it's crazy. Like I was saying earlier, like we thought we were so grown, right? But looking back on it now, we were just kids.
Babies, yeah.
So it's crazy to think that as kids, as little teenagers, we opening for Meek Mill. We performing at this house party, doing this house party, and the next house party, and then it's funny because like we was also getting super zooted at the same time. So like there was times where we went out. There was at least one instance where we went to this house party and we were booked to perform, and we got too drunk, didn't perform. It was shit like that, but that was a really wild way to live as teens. You know what I mean? And then as you grow from that experience and grow as a person, grow as an artist, you look back on it and you're just like, wow, that happened.
That happened. Yeah. I remember it well. Like I remember seeing these kids and I was like, well, these kids are dope.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, man.
These guys are really good.
Yeah. Like I mean, up to maybe about a year ago, I pulled up one of the tracks just to hear it because something had reminded me of them, and I was like, yeah, these guys were.
Where did you find it?
On YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's still there.
Wow. Okay. YouTube never forgets.
Yeah, man. It's still there.
It never forgets.
Yeah, man.
So after the whole RLG, after that, I mean, obviously, did the group disband? Did everyone go their separate ways? What kind of happened there?
Yeah, we sort of dwindled. I would say maybe around 2014. It's kind of tough to say exactly why. I think our lives just led us in different directions.
Yeah.
And so like some of us kept on making music, some of us stopped making music, or just sort of, it's hard to say for sure. We just sort of dwindled after time. There's no tension or nothing like that. Like if I see the homies, we still cool. I saw Chuck just a few months ago. We dapped up the same way. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but it just, I guess it ran its course. You know what I mean? It was a moment and it ran its course, and it was a really cool moment. And so
have you ever forever. I mean, after that tapered off, did you ever think about like not doing music? Did you ever think about falling back from music, or was it just always a constant in your life?
That's a good question. I think that I don't know if there's ever been a time where I said I don't want to do music. There might have just been time. We might get super deep here, like super.
That's what this pod is for.
Yeah, like if you listen to my music, it's like okay, you probably would expect this, but like there probably would have been times where I was, or definitely were times where I was in a really dark place and like wasn't making music quite as much, or like the subjects of my music would have been really dark.
Yeah.
Songs like Middle Class Menace and shit. I look back at that song these days, I'm like, yo, do I really want to have this out there?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if there was ever a time where I just flat out say, I'm done making music. And if I did, it was probably just for a few hours or so.
A few hours, man.
Yeah, like literally, like. So yeah, I've always had the interest. Like I wanted to be a producer before I knew I could rap. Like I said, so.
Does that mean that some of the music that you would have done, you would have produced some of the songs?
Well, not directly during like the ROG stages of things. Like I might have had like a creative input in like the production process, but as far as actually hands-on, like, that didn't start until maybe. Well, no, I would have dabbled in production when I was like 12 or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? But the beats were trash and stuff like that. They're just gonna suck.
You're finding your way.
Yeah, but as far as actually producing things and putting it out, I think that started in either 16 or 17, around the same time I was doing the podcast. I think it started with Crazy. Yeah, the Nate Wiles podcast.
Nate Wiles podcast.
Yeah. All right, so we can segue. What was that about?
You need to bring that back, man.
Again, I was just bored. Not quite bored. I wanted to. It was somewhere between boredom. It was somewhere between intrigue and also wanting to. This is funny. Like I started doing the podcast because I wanted to get better at speaking at length. About things that are interesting.
Okay.
That,
makes sense.
So that was part of it. So I just, did a few podcast episodes in 2016, 2017 or something like that. But yeah, I think Crazy would have been the first record that I put out that I actually produced, like, all the way through.
All the way through.
And that was back when I didn't have the full version of FL. I produced on FL.
You did on Fruity Loops?
Yeah, I did it on Fruity Loops, right? But I didn't have the full version. I had the demo version. So like you couldn't save the project. So I had to keep the FL open the entire time, and it takes me mad long sometimes to work on songs. So I had to leave that shit open for probably like days, and just bounce it at the end. I didn't know nothing about no mixing or nothing like that. I just sort of did it.
That
it
is
just a vibe.
sick. That is so sick. I mean, now is producing. Do you prefer producing to actually rapping? What, or is it like a...
I think it goes in stages and waves. Like right now I'm in a very production heavy wave, and I'm getting a lot of concepts and ideas and vibes. You know what I mean? But I know that there's going to come a time, like when I'm wrapping up this album and stuff like that, no pun intended, where I'm going to be like, all right, I have the vibe, I have the score. Now it's time to, you know what I'm saying? Because you would have heard a couple of the records, like I'm rapping still, but it's, you know, those are the more like concept driven records. But when it's time to rap, I'm gonna shift back into that wave, and I feel it coming. I feel like the ember is starting to flare up again.
Dude, your entendres, just let me say, lemons in the limelight, all these kind of things. Like, dude, your entendres are ridiculous, dude.
Yep.
Dude.
So, because so that means that the project that you're bringing out now, you have production credits on that.
Oh, I'm producing it top to bottom. The whole
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
Boom.
All of it.
That's interesting because looking through your past work, I know that you work closely with, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Shays?
Yes.
Shays?
Yes.
This man is ridiculous.
Wow, that's crazy. I was going to tell you guys about that today. I'm glad you guys are tapped in. He just put out a project like 2 days ago. Nobody's safe.
I saw you repost it on your SoundCloud.
Shit's hard.
I started listening to 1001 Lullabies, and I'm listening to
Classic.
this thing.
This is stuff on the SoundCloud, right?
This
is on Spotify, 1001 Spotify, everywhere.
Across everything, all platforms, right?
Okay.
And I'm listening to this thing, and I'm like, what is this? So he's a Bajan.
Yeah. That's the homie. He lives out here too, like 2 minutes away from me.
Shit, you gotta get across here, bro. Shit, you gotta come here, bro.
He was saying he actually wants to come and sit down with you guys, so let's make that happen for real.
Let's make that happen.
Honestly, right? Sorry, I know you're here, but I gotta talk to him directly. Sonically, this is like shit that I've never heard of before.
There you go.
Like he's taking so many risks
in
the music. Real talk. No, seriously. When I heard it, I was like, what is this? I had to go back and be like, Shays? What's this thing?
Are we still talking about 1001?
Yeah, 1001.
Wait till you hear Nobody's Safe. It's the trippiest experience. I'm not gonna like spoil it for you or nothing like that, but it's really dope and it's really trippy.
This
it's
no
like,
cap, This no cap. This thing is seriously good from what I've heard. Oh man, I'm like, I don't know why. Whoa. Anyway, sorry. Moment over.
So you're doing the production top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom.
So how did you move? How did the So I know like you've got some work on SoundCloud. I've listened.
I got a funny story to tell you about that. Not to cross you when you're done. I got a funny story about my SoundCloud page.
Tell me about it.
Oh, right now? Like, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as I've grown through my years and come to discover myself, right? And, started going to therapy and stuff like that, you figure out some things, you receive some diagnoses or whatever, you do your research, you start to figure out what's been plaguing you all these years and causing you to do all these things that you do and say all these things that you say, tweet all these things that you tweeted. Fam, sometimes I can get really like revved up, really hypomanic and stuff like that and become super impulsive. Mm-hmm. I would say all but like 5 of the records that are on my SoundCloud, I just dropped them unfinished on impulse. Like I wasn't supposed to put them out. I leaked my own music for years. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't supposed to give you this much music. I'm sorry. I was supposed to hold on to records like Love vs. Pride for the album and shit, but now it's like, all right, I put that on in 2020, so I'm gonna have to do something new.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dropped most of my SoundCloud music impulsively. And now I look back and I'm like, damn, I should have held on to a couple of those.
Love vs. Pride is fire.
Yeah, that's a great song.
But it's interesting you say that because what I think strikes me the most about you is that you're such an artist. And I know we talk about like the the similarities between Kanye and yourself. What I'm seeing is like someone who like lives their art.
Artistic similarities.
And you live your art. So for me, I totally get why.
Going for the super Bajan, you know.
Yeah. Go for it, bro. Go for it, bro.
When I bought this at the gas station a few weeks ago, the lady was like, "Oh, that's how I know that you from here." Like, but yeah. So,
no, like honestly, like obviously, like a lot of we live in a world where it's all about the rollout. It's all about crafting the message and creating the narrative and stuff like that. But so to see you put out music that he was like, yeah, I created this, here, take it. That's like real artsy stuff. But I want to ask you though, how does that go up against wanting to break or to blow? Well, let me ask you, do you want to break? Do you want to blow? Do you want this to be your life?
another great question. And my answer to that, I would say, falls in a gray area. As with most of my thoughts, I tend to think really gray these days.
The world is full of grays.
Yeah, I think that the answer to that question might have shifted, throughout time, right? Because we all know, like, the industry, it doesn't have the greatest reputation and shit like that. So sometimes it can be tough to get excited about moving forward in that direction. But as far as the entertainment, as far as the artistry, as far as like being able to get your ideas out on a certain scale, I would love to, you know what I mean? And I really look forward to that. So I'm putting my best foot forward creatively to get me to that point, while still somewhat being a little bit anxious and a little bit jaded about like what the industry is like and what you can expect from that. So yeah, it's
Is there a way to navigate it? Is there a way to I mean, like, we think about like MF Doom and we think about like all these real underground artists that never reached the Drake acclaim or the J. Cole acclaim or the Kendrick acclaim.
But have been heralded, and for great reason, as some of the greatest molders of the artistry of hip hop along, as we've gone along. I mean, it continues to happen. We've been having conversations about
Conversation/arguments.
I mean, what is life if not conflict? But we've been having conversations about like Lupe Fiasco and his inaccessibility on a mainstream level.
Correct.
But how powerful his work is, we feel, on an artistic level. So, how does that work for you in your mind, industry-wise? You
mean like as it relates to like where I would see myself fitting in, or like,
yeah.
I want to be able to get my ideas out on the biggest stage possible. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes I make a record, right? And I'm like, oh, I have an idea for a video, but I would never have the budget right now to make that video,
to create it.
You know what I mean?
You see it, yeah.
But it's like I would like to be able to produce art and generate art at the highest level. You know what I mean? So when I think about where I would fit in and where I'm aiming to go sonically, creatively, direction-wise, it is up there. You know what I mean? Like when I'm making my project and stuff like that, I'm telling myself, yo, I don't want to put this out until this feels like I could listen to it alongside anything else that I fuck with that's at that level and be like, all right, this belongs in this mix. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, it puts a lot of pressure on you creatively, especially when you're an overthinker and when you, can be a bit of a perfectionist and stuff like that. But it kind of just is what it is. And then that thing that you guys posted the other day about Rick Rubin, that gave me so much confidence because I too don't know shit about music. I can't even break down the technical terms or nothing like that. I just go based on the feeling, the sound, and my ear and my vision. And so, I oftentimes contend to have a very grand vision. Yeah. Because I think that's what drew me to music in the first place was like, are you guys wrestling fans by any chance?
Nah, not really. But tell me.
Yeah,
I have been, yeah.
But like back in the day, like the Attitude Era of WWF is like that Stone Cold Steve Austin, like The Rock and that.
Heartbreak Kid, like real attitude.
I used to really love, funny story about like HBK and like DX and shit like that. But I was really drawn to, I guess, the grandeur of the theme music. Yeah. And like the whole presentation. And so the Kanye connection as well, I think it comes from that because my first favorite rap record was Worldwide Mafia, because my first favorite rap album was Late Registration because I was like, oh shit, I've now stumbled across a branch of hip hop where it feels like grand, like the WWE, the WWF themes, and like, you know,
there was a
that
certain
grandeur
kind
to
of
it.
theater to it.
Yes.
That's a good way to explain it for sure.
And so, you know, when I'm doing my own shit, I like to put that level of thought and creativity into it. And if you go all the way with that, I imagine that ideally it leads you to the upper echelon.
Of course.
All right.
You know, that's my long ass answer to that question.
But I guess you said something off air before we started potting. You mentioned this podcast being a hip hop podcast in a Barbadian or a Caribbean context, and how challenging that is, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, well, you know, I'm a hip hop artist. I in this context, I know, you know, what it feels like. How, from your words, your own words, how does it feel to keep struggling against, even though you know you're not soca, you're not calypso, you're not dancehall, you're not
bashment soca.
you're in bashment soca, you know, like you're not the first thing the radio stations want to play. How do you keep going? And this answer is more for me and Robin than it is for the audience.
It's for us.
It's for us.
Come on, man. We are in this. I mean, we're in this space.
Cause then we can
And
say
it's a small space. And
Yeah.
it's always been a small space. I know I'm interrupting your answer.
That's okay. Let's reason.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's do that because I've said this before, haven't I? I remember very clearly being one of the same 10 guys and maybe 1 to 2 girls that were on the dance floor every time hip hop music was played at a party in Barbados. The same guys.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
That's where we're clear. And we would get our 4 or 5 songs.
Andy up.
Every time they
that
play
fool.
Hail Mary.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and I would hope that it wouldn't be
If ever spot my scoop mix.
Yo.
oh my gosh, no, but there was a song that I hated before that one. It was Jump Around by House of Pain.
Oh my goodness.
Every party for about
Right, because
15
that's the
years.
go-to, right?
That was the go-to. At
All
the
you
time.
hip hop nerds, just take this.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's come a long way, and believe me, when I began to hear, like, when kids started saying to me, "Wait, sir, you listen to," I was like, "You listen to hip hop?" So so we've done that. We've been there. Your go.
So, you know, it's not soca, it's not, you know, dancehall, it's not, you know, whatever, but it's vibes. It's still vibes. And I don't know if you guys gonna make it out to Poetry Line tonight and whatnot, but I'm bringing a vibe, you know what I mean, that I think is hard to not feel.
Right.
So it's like, even if it's not traditional Bajan or Caribbean music, it's still a vibe.
I love it.
And I
Yeah,
don't
there's a
think
feeling,
that, I was telling the homies, I don't know if people know exactly what vibe to expect, especially from a dude like me who I feel like I would have, through the years, posting a lot of personal shit on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, I feel like people would think that I'm really like dark and brooding, but I actually have a hard time not laughing at shit. And like, you know, so when I'm making music, it's like, yeah, there's a dark side to it, but also there's a vibe to it as well. And I'm learning the ins and outs of that vibe. I'm learning how to describe the intangibles, such as like the X factor, the it thing that just is that thing. And I'm learning how to incorporate that into my music. And so I'm not dropping these records on impulse anymore, but like, I feel like when I drop these records, people just gonna feel the vibe.
There's a lot of intention.
Yeah. So it could go left. Like, I could put music out and 20 people listen to it and half of them don't care or whatever, but when it comes out, it'll be at the point where I'm satisfied with it, and I feel like with what I put into it and the place and the spirit that it comes from, I think that that's going to connect with a lot of people, or at least the people who fuck with it.
Yeah.
And so it just is what it is.
That's powerful.
I mean, you both, excellent points from both of you. The only thing I would add is that the whole point of this podcast was to take hip hop Caribbean culture and push it on the world stage. So we see this podcast as our way to help the genre be recognized and the artists that are creating, because we know artists that have been doing this thing for years, and they're grinding and they're putting their heart, their soul, their money into it, and we believe that they should be recognized. So
I'm gonna reiterate what the man said. We really, really want to do this, and we're gonna keep trying. We're gonna keep pushing, because I mean, people are like, you potting. Why are you potting? You're trying to make some money. You're trying to get some views, but we love it so much. We want to give a space for it to be known.
Yeah.
So we can keep going.
And we appreciate that, for real. We need this. You know what I'm saying? I was telling Shay Man as well about his project. We need people to take chances. We need people to push the boundaries. We need people to, there's a quote on that cube over there. You can't see it on camera, but it says something about, yo, can I grab that real quick?
Yeah, man.
Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is not path and leave a trail.
yeah, that's powerful.
So it's like, you gotta kind of have the balls to give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we appreciate people, and I appreciate people, and I think everybody who's been on this pod and everybody who tunes in appreciate people like you guys and people like Shay Man when it comes to this Nobody Safe and everything. We appreciate people who have the balls to do that thing in Barbados. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for this, for real.
I remember you messaged me and you were like, what you guys are doing, keep doing it. And that meant so much. I sent it to him and I was like, wow, that meant.
When the Wiles.
We
Legend. We fans,
Legend.
When the Wiles message upon the
We just holding it down for the pod, but we were big fans.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just feel like chilling, bro.
Big fans.
Cool. And then I straightened myself, like, all right, that's all right.
Be like, all right, Rob. We invested $5,000 more in this podcast just because of Nate.
There you go.
I want to ask. So let's talk about the more some past stuff. How did the connection with Teff occur? How did you get on to mMoney? And then let's talk about that. I don't know. There was this live bit that you guys did.
Yeah, the freestyle.
Yeah.
The cypher. It was like a cypher,
right?
right?
Bust the Artist.
Yeah, Bust the Artist. Yeah.
So let's talk about that connection with Teff.
Okay, when did I meet Teff? That's the thing. That's one of those things where it feels like I just knew him for X amount of time, and I can't tell you what the X is.
Yeah.
It's like we never like link real close, like, but it's always love. We have a kindredness about us. We was reasoning just the other day, really deep conversation. I want to say I met Teff. I don't know. It was mad long ago that I met Teff. Like, I've been in situations where I'm standing at the bus stop and Teff just drives by and gives me a shout. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So as far as how mMoney came around, I don't think that we had worked together before then, but he just hit me up and was like, I got this record for you, and I was like, bet, okay, cool. Because it's love. It's like there's that kindredness. So of course he sent me the beat was dope, but it wasn't the vibe that I was on at the time. I didn't know where I could fit in on that. I liked the song and I liked where it was going, but I didn't really know where I could fit in on that vibe. So I was like, okay, let me just chop the intro and just like flip that sample and just do this and do that and just like throw that Chael Sonnen sample on there.
So that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Because
the
beat actually changes, and then you come in, and I'm like, well, firstly, that's on hard scan. But aside from that, I'm like, yo, this little pocket, because you found like this kind of pocket that you could like really flow. I was like, yo, and you did that.
Yeah.
Yo, that's mad. That's mad. So who actually produced the beat in the first place?
That was Chris Rose and Muhammad Hanif, I think. It was
they collabed on that
beat.
beat.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I hope there wasn't a third person that I was leaving off. I think it was just Muhammad and Chris Rose. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but yeah, I did my part. I sampled the the first part, and then I just did my own thing with it because I was just in a different type of headspace, a different type of vibe creatively. So I was just like, let me take them to my side.
That's literally how that came.
Fucking shit that, you know, will make people think that I'm always like dead serious. I don't never smile.
And there's this thing that I'm gonna assume that you do, where you have like this guy talking about Nate's great, you know. Nate's
yeah, that's Chael Sonnen, you know, UFC legend, Hall of Famer, undefeated, undisputed Chael Sonnen. You know what I'm saying? But
man, it gives the music so much character and presence.
There you go. That's what it is.
Man.
That's part of that X Factor thing that I be talking about. Like, I got a record that I'm doing tonight. By the time this comes out, I would have already done this performance and shit. But like, it got one of them clips in it.
Yeah.
And you know, I was working on it up till today. It's still not. when I go home from here, I'm going right back to put that performance together. I do things at the last minute. I don't know why. I can't figure this out. But yeah, I think Shay Man was talking about wanting to incorporate more of that in his music, and I was saying, yeah, like the perspective that I come from when I'm doing stuff like that is okay. I put myself, and I'm giving, like, I guess you could call this like free game. Like, I put myself in the perspective of, and this is super grandiose as well, the stadium or the festival crowd. What's going to connect with those people? What's going to be the moment or the thing that sticks with them, or part of it? Things like, you know, the sting, which is like a wrestling term for, you know, like when Stone Cold Steve Austin's glass shatters.
Yes.
And the crowd just goes crazy.
Because they know what's what precedes that. Yeah.
Things like stings and stuff like that, like, you know, that I like to add to my music, and things that would boost the vibe. We was talking about vibes earlier, how to boost that vibe. Might be a sample chop, or it might be Chael Sonnen talking some shit, or it might be a sting. But it's like, those are all the codes that I like to try to figure out and then incorporate. So it's like, yeah.
So I mean, what you're talking about sounds like a person that really studies music. So when you listen to albums and you listen to records like the same Late Registration, you're not just listening to bass and Kanye flowing over beats. You're listening to every little nuance in this track.
The codes, the ones and the zeros. What percentage of this is bars, and what percentage of this is personality? Why does it work?
You hear that? That's the word I was looking for.
Dude, wow.
You were talking about that it factor.
Wow.
It's about personality.
Wow.
There's a certain charisma that pulls people into the music.
That's crazy.
You gotta have a human being to connect with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's just bars, it's tough to connect with the soul.
Not an AI rendition of Drake like lyrics.
Yeah. What do you mean? FK, what's it called?
GP something?
No, not Chat GPT, not that. FKN Mecca.
FN Mecca.
FN Mecca.
Yeah.
And he was signed to Sony or something like that. He got signed.
And then he got signed and then dropped.
And he got dropped.
He got dropped as well.
Canceled.
He went through his RICO charges on the way. So
But you know, now that you say that, right? Now that you say that, there's something that I heard, because I love Easter eggs in music, because I'm a Lupe fan, so I love a little Easter egg, right? Cancel culture. I want to know your take on cancel culture. Is it helpful or is it hurtful? You know when I like to drop these ones.
It's gray. It's really gray.
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful. I think that but it's also really gray. I think that there is a place for the cancel. I think that we need to be careful, or personally, I prefer to be careful about not being too trigger happy with the cancel, because, you know, I think the cancel is certainly warranted in the case of somebody like fucking, you know, somebody who's niggas we know that's in jail behind doing some really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I tend to reserve the cancel for those types of people as opposed to somebody who has a challenging opinion.
Right, because you know there's that line of, you know, are we canceling free speech? What are we saying here?
You just carried this in an interesting direction because
he's in the record, in the project, you had this thing about because you know it's all about, you were saying God can, was it?
If God can't help you,
if God can't help you, you know. And I'm hearing this stuff, and I'm like, Nate's on some stuff right now.
Yeah,
he's on some shit right now.
I see what you're talking about. It's just all blurred because when does an opinion or an intellectual thought experiment turn into a dog whistle for darker intentions? And so when do you allow the thought experiment to occur? And or versus when do you say no, all you're doing is using finding a platform for the difficulty with opinions, which we have many of.
Yes.
Is that opinions are not necessarily supported by anything factual. They may be just how you feel about something.
Correct.
And the notions you've developed from whatever. And that's where I have the difficulty.
Yeah.
Because if your actions are based upon notions that are actually based in fact, which is a lot of what we do anyway. But
True.
I mean, a lot of it. We
But
don't know.
but
we
the
can't know
repercussions
everything.
in that particular case were
Societal.
We're far
Societal.
greater
And that's
just
why
you as an individual.
I hoped I had to reel it in a bit, and that's why I hoped
was a bad
that persons would receive the facts as facts and do a thing that many people didn't want to do, and I will leave it there.
I understand. It's what it is.
But I mean, that's awesome stuff. That it's amazing how that we didn't know. Well, why would we know? But the way in which that music change happened and money and all that kind of stuff. That's awesome stuff. That's awesome.
So okay, so Nate, you have a project coming.
Yeah.
Of that we can be sure.
A and B.
Oh, you're gonna give us the name?
Just the initials. A and B.
Just the so it's an acronym for something. I'm
A
assuming,
and B.
right?
And it's not all my bitches. It's not all my bullshit. It's
all
not, you know,
bullshit.
it's not a mile behind. It's nothing like that. It's just
All right, cool. I look forward to
we'll wait
that.
to see what that
And
is.
but can I ask you though, is your rollout for this going to be different to what you've done in the past? Is there going to be, people like visualizers now? Do you have a plan? I know this stuff takes tons of money. People don't understand how expensive.
That was the Grinch smile. You ever seen the GIF with the Grinch where he smiles?
Yeah.
That was that. Yeah.
You got some big plans.
Yeah. Because I want to. I got a huge chip on my shoulder. A self-aware chip on my shoulder. I want to show and prove with this project that I'm not just a rapper. I'm not just a producer. I'm not just an introvert. I'm not just a dude that like talks a lot of shit. I want to be a creative director, and I'm considering myself the creative director of this project. The direction, these performances that I've been doing at Poetry Lime and stuff are directed by Nate Wiles, and it's like I'm trying to show you guys like what the bigger picture is. It's not just the music. It's not just the beats and the bars and the melodies and stuff like that. It's the bigger idea behind it, and like I guess the elevation of the concept. You know what I mean? It's all of that. Like the Rick Rubin thing again, like that really inspired me, and I appreciate you guys posting that because I've been watching his interviews ever since. Because we know Rick Rubin, we know Rick Rubin's role in hip hop, and
Everyone assumed that Rick Rubin was like this musical genius,
right?
Jay-Z
We swore,
went to
right?
him and said, give me the magic. And he's just like, I have an ear. I trust my instinct.
Same.
It's wild.
I like a thing, and that's what I go with.
Yeah,
Dude.
same. You know what I mean? And I might be able to break it down and explain the thing, but it's like I can't tell you what key that song is in. I can't tell you, you know what I mean? Shit like that. If I sit down and try to play the MIDI keyboard, it's gonna take me a while to get the thing right. But when I do, it's gonna be a vibe. So I want to showcase all of my artistry with this project. So that don't mean that everybody's gonna fuck with it. That don't mean that everybody's gonna get what they was expecting, because there's gonna be some surprises on this project as far as like creative direction and stuff like that. But it will be a showcase of Nate Wiles as an artist in general, because I feel like I was talking to my mom about this the other day. I feel like your DNA throughout your life stays intact, right? And you are who you've always been. It's just a matter of, like we were saying before, like with the bullies and stuff like that, things could go right or things could go left.
Yeah.
Whatever happens to you in this life, you can grow from it. But I like to look at it like you can this came from another reason with Shay Man too. You don't only level up or level down. It's like you could level left, or you could, I prefer to say level forward.
Level forward.
You know what I mean? Like things could happen to you and it could turn you into a better version of yourself or the villain version of yourself. You know what I mean? So I look back now, especially in this era of going to therapy and developing like all this self-awareness and like whatnot. I look back and I'm like, oh, I've always been this person. I've always been this creative, this artist. I've always had that duality. I've always had that great perspective from being a third culture kid right over to playing UFC online and making a character that has super dark, like gritty tattoos on one arm and then like colorful butterflies and trees and stuff on the other arm, and then they meet in the center right here and da-da-da. It's like it's always been there. And, you know, being a kid, 3 years old, playing this toy piano thing and like teaching myself how to play it. And then my birthday was in January. My mom sends me this message from her
Happy
like
belated
family.
birthday, bro.
Thank you. January 6th. My mom sends me this this text message from her family group chat with her sisters and stuff. And they was talking about how when I was a kid, I posted this in my story too. When I was a kid, they were amazed at the fact that, you know, we'd be driving around and I couldn't read yet, but I would recognize all the store signs and stuff like that. And they said they couldn't figure out how I did that. And then I'm like, oh shit, and that remains true to this day because like I'm very low key. I'm very like in the cut, out of the loop. I'm not like the most experienced person in general life, but I could tell you about these numbers. I could tell you about these vibes. I could tell you about these nuances and these intricacies and these it factors and X factors that people might have a hard time explaining.
Right.
But I don't know shit about music, but I can just bring you the vibe. So it's like that theme has remained constant. I feel like it's like that for most, if not all people. I think we just need to discover who we are. And so with that being said, to tie it back to the question, I'm looking to show exactly who I am completely with this project. So no singles, no impulsive drops, none of that. 'Cause if I give you a single, it's not going to give you the whole picture. So
True.
Very well.
That is true. You need the body of work.
Yeah.
Usually in these get to know me sessions with artists, we usually ask them. We deviated all over the place, but you're a special cat, so that's fine. We want to know if you could collaborate with one of your musical counterparts, past, present. Who would that be and why? One. Sorry, gotta give you one.
okay. Okay. You would think I'm going to say Ye, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's like a given. I would love to work with Ye at some point, but like just the other day I was kind of like in a revved up hypomanic state, and I shot my shot at one of my favorite artists who
You're a liar, you
people here in
did.
Barbados would not know, like the Chain Gang of 1974. You have no idea who I'm talking about.
No.
Who's Chain Gang?
You guys, I see you got like video games out there. You play games? That's just
He's a gamer, yeah.
You play GTA 5?
I did not play GTA 5. I do know quite a bit about it.
Okay. Well, there was a song in GTA 5. If you got a certain ending of the story in that game, I think it was ending B. I'm not sure. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who still hasn't played the game and go through the story. But there's a song in that game called Sleepwalking. Maybe we're just sleepwalking. The Chain Gang of 1974. This nigga put out a classic album called Daydream Forever. That song was on that album. That album is so special to me and like my heart and shit. Like the vibe and shit is the furthest thing from hip hop. But it's like, as a hip hop artist, somebody who speaks the language of hip hop, I would love to be able to work with somebody like him to bring you a new type of vibe in hip hop.
Yeah.
I shot my shot. He responded, but he was like, you know,
No way, he responded.
Yeah, he responded. Like I was like, you know, what would it take? Blah blah blah. Like I fuck with this shit. Like, because I would have commented on a few of his posts. He's like, I'm not really doing features right now. I'm like, dude, I totally understand.
He responded though.
Yeah, it's all
That's
good.
a win. That's
but
a
like,
win.
I would love to work with somebody like the Chain Gang in 1974, or like, you know, I listen to a lot of random ass shit. Like, well, you said one artist, so let me back up. Yeah.
I know you could go on forever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If there, so what was the plan in terms of once the album drops in the summer, right? What's the plan about what you're gonna do with that material after it comes out? Like, I mean, is there an intent?
Like after the fact?
Yeah,
Not in terms
yeah.
of
Like,
the
how are
release
you gonna
itself?
be? How, I mean, is there any promotion of it coming up that we can look out for?
Or that we can help support.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm
no impulsive drops.
Yeah, no impulsive drops. No single. I mean, that could change. I don't see myself putting out any singles. So like, I'm just making the project, and every now and then I talk about it in my story or IG, or I might tweet about it. But I'm trying to tweet less these days. Yeah, I'm just focused on the music right now and the overall direction and the ideas for how I want to release it. As far as what comes after, I feel like that's a bridge that I'm gonna cross, not when I get there, but I'm gonna like figure it out when I'm a little bit closer to that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know it's people that, you know, like people in my personal life and people that I know and shit that's like waiting for the project and like they gon', you know, so yeah, I don't have that far ahead of a vision as far as what to do after the release. I'm just more so focused on getting it done because it's been so long and because I feel like I owe this to myself and I owe this to motherfuckers that actually just been waiting for a project from me. So yeah.
And anything planned with Shays? I mean, I saw that he puts out these projects. Not to take it off of you, but
no, it's fine. Let's talk about
he puts out these projects where it's like all produced by him, I would assume, and then he has like many artists like Island Levy. He would have yourself, he'd have a lot of different people, right? He dropped his latest project now.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
I don't wanna. Maybe it's if you know, you know, but I have not heard of him, and I would like to know more about him, and I would like to know if there's like a few. So maybe this is not a question for you. Maybe this is a question for Shades to come and sit where you are right now and come and tell us.
Shay, man?
Yeah,
come through.
Yeah, and tell us this, because I think the artists are important, but like I feel like producers are the superheroes. I feel they're the, you know, like, I mean, I was just telling Robin that Metro Boomin just dropped the album, and literally Robin sat in my car to come and scoop you, and just
Heroes and Villains,
and it started playing. And Robin's like, "What the fuck is this?" Right? And that's just it. Like the music is so powerful, and just like we shine light on the artists, we gotta shine a light on the producers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, doing amazing work.
Certainly, we've had producers on the pod, certainly before. Well, I mean, sorry, we've interviewed
producers before. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so I mean, maybe we can get Shays on.
Yeah, that would be dope. He's a really interesting guy.
Yeah,
like we go way back to like QC and stuff like that. I think he's probably like the longest running friendship that I've had in my life. He's a real cool dude, real interesting guy. He perfectly blends together the aesthetics and the spirits of like, you know, the eclectic, the dude who's into anime and video games and like, you know, trippy psychedelic stuff and stuff like that, but with like Rastaman energy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. He's that dude. He's that dude. Real cool. Nobody safe. It's hard as fuck. So like,
all right.
It's an experience. It is an experience. You gotta like really dive into this world. It's like when you look at the cover art, without giving away too much, that's exactly what is gonna happen to you when you listen to this project.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Last thing I'd ask you: do you or would you mind connecting us with? Because we want to get more artists on, local artists, to shine the light, but we find that sometimes for us we're not in these spaces to connect. Would you mind connecting us or putting us on to people that you think would be very awesome for us? Because you work with people. I see Queen. You work with like people on your projects. And be like, who is this person? And I've never heard of them.
Yeah, that's Kim. You talking about Queen Camilla?
Yeah.
Shout out to Kim.
Yeah,
she's not living here anymore though.
Oh, she's not here. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, for sure. Yeah. Shay's first and foremost. I think you guys would probably have a great conversation with Shy Bascom.
Yeah.
His mind is genius. Like his just the way he views the artistry and stuff. He's tapped in. You guys will have a great talk with him if he's down.
We had wanted to connect with him actually. Yeah, we listened to the project he put out like a year. Year back.
Yeah.
Correct. Soul Separately was the last one.
Soul Separately.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah.
But I would say Levy as well, but Levy he's not living here anymore. He's overseas as well, so it will be tough. He was back here a few months ago, but you know, just for a short time. But yeah, though, for sure. I'm thinking my wheels are turning now.
I'm just putting that out there. That's what I'm saying. We gotta connect through the artists that come on. Yeah, you know, put us on. We want to talk to people.
You've already spoken to Teff, like.
Yeah, we got to get him back on though. Yeah. He always has a lot to say. He loves to argue with us.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's always good. It's always good when he's on. Yeah, definitely.
All right, but Nate, man, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been refreshing.
This long ass time coming, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
it's
for real.
been a pleasure, bro.
My
Thank
guy.
you so
My guy.
much. Listen, do not be a stranger to the pod. This pod is here for you to launch and promote and do whatever you need to do.
Blessings. I
That
appreciate
is
it.
why we're here.
Yeah, for real.
I'm so excited. I love all your past work, but even more excited for what you're about to do and about to drop. Right?
I'm really pleased that I will say, I mean, I know that you reacted and you were like, really? But seriously, coming from the day when that stuff dropped so many years ago, and I saw you rapping on that song, and I was like, well, this dude is good, right? To you being here today, and the depth and the level of, I don't know, intention. I keep using that word. The intention and this kind of like there's this persona that's coming through, right? Can't wait to hear the project, right? Looking forward, seriously.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a thing. Musically, it's gonna be colorful. It's gonna be an experience as well.
All right.
So yeah, AMB 2023.
All right. Well, everyone, this has been yet another episode of the Wireheadz Podcast. Doing one of our get to know yous with Nate Wiles.
Wiles,
sir.
Yeah, shout out. This is your boy SPG.
And it's your boy Trizale.
We out.
We out.